Welcome to Section 31, episode number 236. I'm Dan Hammond.
And I am Rogue Schindler.
This week we're going to talk about a local event, which was the day before a Santa Barbara regional. We've got a first edition spoiler for the Maquis, and anything else that just comes up. So let's start with the tournament that you went to. Yes? Question mark?
Yes.
That
I
was
went
in
and looked.
San Diego.
It was Stewie. Um, it was fine. I wasn't planning on going, and I noticed on Friday that it looked like there were only 3 people signed up, and Charlie said that it didn't sound like Thomas was going to make it, and I didn't want to leave everybody hanging, and I had nothing else going on, which is not entirely true. I probably should have been working on costumes, but um, I did want to go and play my new pony deck that I built, so I texted JD and said, "Hey, you want to show up early if I go to the tournament?" So, so I went early to play to show him some Lackey stuff and play some My Little Pony, and then I stuck around for the tournament. I pulled a deck off the internet that was probably the smallest deck you've ever seen me play.
Well, usually when you pull a deck off the internet, you then go add another 40 cards to make it, not feel too light in
Yes.
your hands.
And I kept holding my dilemma pile to make me feel better. I only net decked the deck, not the dilemma pile. So, my dilemma pile towered over my deck with its, extra 20 cards. But I played a Borg Dissident deck that I stole from Sean O'Reilly.
Okay. Did you know? Yeah.
And I've been wanting to play them again since Locutus came out, just to try it out, and I just haven't gotten around to it, because it's been a while since Locutus came out. And as it turns out, never played Locutus all day, which was unfortunate.
You only had one in the deck, it looks like.
Yeah, well, and I realized why, and I'm glad. I made like very few changes. I added like 4 cards and I took out like 3 cards. It was very trim, and I realized very quickly why it was how it was. So I didn't want to disrupt the balance. There's a whole lot to get that new resistance trick to work. You really need to have not too many other things in the way. And even with the really important personnel, I was like, only 1, 7, and 9. She's so good and she's so important, but
if you flip her when
if you already got her out,
deck, yeah,
she's almost certainly one of the first people you want to download, which means you're almost certainly going to have her in play by the time you get around to dissident flipping. So, unfortunately, that meant that there was no replacement when she got Secret ID'd, but there was enough attribute pumping in the deck. There's a J in there, and we've got the strength drones and the cunning drones, depending on the mission you're going to. So, it was interesting. It was more or less fun. It was the only trick that was frustrating was I kept timing out because I kept waiting for it to go off, even when I already had enough stuff to go attempt to missions, which is probably just my fault because I want to see my I don't care about winning. I want to see my trick work, which is more often than not one of the reasons that I lose a game. But at least I'm having fun doing what I came to do. But I had the most ridiculous game against Johnny in the first round. He was playing Earth, DS9 Earth, with all of the different races, and I made my biggest mistake against him early, which was I had thrown it. I was concerned about getting that sphere out to make everybody dissidents.
Mm-hmm.
So I threw in 1 copy of Christening. Is that that's the one that lets you download a ship?
Yeah.
Uh, and because if you get fourth, you can use that to download an event, and then you download the event, and then you download the ship, etc. Only when I did that, I did draw that first before I got ships, and I played it, and I already had the new resistance in my hand, and I didn't think about that part where you have to reveal your hand before you download the ship. And it's not like a huge deck. It's not super popular. I mean, people kind of know what it does, but I'm like, oh yeah, that. But showing it to him and him reading it as I got things going, he's like, and his eyes bugged out, and he's like, all right. And I had one turn the rest of the game where he had a ship at a space or at a non-headquarters mission.
Yeah.
And I, being a fool, was reading it wrong. I didn't actually read the card in my hand, even though it was there. I was thinking about it, and I was thinking for some reason that it only worked while my opponent had a ship at a mission rather than playing it. So the one turn that he had where I was able to, I didn't play it because I was thinking, oh, well, I don't have my ship. I haven't played my ship yet. All my guys aren't dissidents. I'm going to have to take a shot that one of my real dissidents comes up. If I do it now, I'll wait a turn and I'll do it the next turn. And that turned out to be, I didn't realize until the next game that was only to play it, not to use it. And
Right.
ended up having to basically spend the whole game without that trick. So I felt much better later that I had inadvertently stolen that win from him. Because I should have had a much bigger advantage than I did. We went back and forth and stopping each other with dilemmas, and he ended up getting a 35-point mission off and working on others but not getting through yet, and time was called. I was on my last mission, and I completed a 40-point mission mostly because of his help. I was just not thinking about it. I had Queen's Borg sphere out, helping me at Assimilate Starship. And I went out, I was like, oh, well, I failed. I was trying to divide all my people into two teams so I could attempt that, hopefully solve it, and then attempt something else on another ship. And I was like, oh, I failed that. Well, that sucks. I guess I'll take this other crew and go attempt this other mission and hope I can bang through in one attempt. And Johnny's like, why don't you just attempt that mission? That's got all the dilemmas under it. It's like, oh, yes, you're absolutely right. I should totally. And I went through and I had all the skills and I counted it up and I was like, oh, yeah, with the bonus from the Queen's Borg sphere, I will totally have that. So I flew over and I attempted. And I counted it all up and then I I neglected to say that I beam over to the Queen's Borg sphere and attempt, but he knew what I meant, and I was like, wow, I am a total loser, and I totally deserve to lose this game. He's like, no, you had it. I know what you meant to do. You had the thing. You're going to solve. And so, therefore, but by the grace of Johnny, do I proceed to the next round. So I managed to get that 40 to 35, and it was a very helpful education moving on to the rest of the tournament to remember how to play that deck.
I see Johnny is listed as Big Fat DS9 Earth deck. Was it score some points, use the guy to get some guys, download, walk the line kind of stuff? Or
yes. It was pretty straightforward solver. He had a few extra points, but not a lot.
Medical teams, promenade schools, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
It looked like he was doing fairly easy missions and trying to use the bonus points to turn the corner or maybe use Melora. I didn't really see a lot of point loss, but he came out early with Sloan before I could get Balana on the table too, and that was helpful for him. So yeah, he had the pretty typical DS9 tricks going, and they were going pretty strong. He did finally get the president out towards the end and downloaded some people, but he was like, I don't even know if I have anybody left. It was kind of getting the dregs. So, but yeah.
All right. The next round, you moved on to JD.
No, I think Charlie. I played GD last.
Okay.
Um, Charlie was playing
Yes. Starfleet.
Starfleet. I I gave him a hard time quite a lot during that game, mostly uh, just because it's Charlie. Charlie has the kind of reputation amongst our group of being he's too nice when he plays. And we kind of give him a hard time. No, well, I could do this, but it's gonna be really mean. And it was like, no, dude, take advantage. And half the time, it's not even that mean. It's just playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
But he wants to. So I was like, all right, whatever. I sat down, and he's like, all right, yeah, hey, let's have some fun, go do stuff, and we can all have a good time playing this game. And first turn, well, no, not first turn. It was like second or third turn, but very shortly, less than 5 minutes later, he's got Sight for Sore Eyes and Hour cost to go to 14 and drops 3 no-win scenarios.
Wow.
And I'm like, just have fun. We're just gonna have fun. That's it, huh? We're just gonna have a fun game. No negative experiences here.
Oops.
Yeah.
Wow. Was he playing with mirrors so you couldn't blow it up?
Yep.
All right. Well, awesome. How'd that go?
Well, I got the new resistance out fairly quickly, and I had the most success with it, where I emptied most of my deck onto my pile, but it didn't help because I couldn't quite get another ship out. So that was a situation where the deck finally worked how it was supposed to, and I was able to start banging away at missions. But because of the no-win scenarios, it took as long as it would normally take with as few people as I would have normally been able to play. So we timed out anyway.
All right. Well.
Yeah.
So both of your tricks worked. It's just his was designed to slow you down, and yours was designed to speed you up, and kind of met in the middle.
Kind of canceled each other out. That was kind of the theme, actually. So I mentioned showing up because I thought I was going to be the fourth player, so that they wouldn't have to cancel out. And as it turns out, Thomas did make it. And then while we were getting started, I was like, oh, okay, well, is somebody going to sit out, or are we going to have a bye? And Charlie says, no, Matt's coming. And I heaved a great Matt-like sigh because we knew that Matt was signed up to go to the regional on Sunday.
So he was coming to play test?
Yeah, while we were all there to kind of relax and have a nice casual 2E tournament, he would be coming and bringing whatever it was he was going to take on Sunday and work out the kinks. So not really looking forward to that game. And I had heard the words capture floating across the room during the first half of the tournament, and so I was like trying to be very zen. I took several deep breaths. I'm like, I haven't seen Matt in a long time. Coming to the tournament, it's everybody can bring whatever they want. It's fine. I'm not even going to care. And tried really hard to try to keep that attitude. And we kind of joked through the game. I did get new resistance out, but I didn't have a lot. That was a good deck to have against it because he did get a captive fairly quickly, and had all 3 tribunals out. Tribunal sentencing.
Out. Remind me what that does. Is that you have to have skills?
No, that means you don't get to get to play one less counter if he has a captive.
So you're going to 4 every turn.
Yeah, it was a good thing I had a ship out already, because it was very painful. And I had some counters, like I managed to get 4 of 9. And I had just played him to play him, but then I used him to download 2 of 9. He downloads 2 unique guys after you put him under. So I used him to download himself again and 2 of 9 with the intent of going through and slowly kind of picking those things off, but I just didn't have the time. I had to play a guy and hope that more guys came out, and even then I got I had 18 people out. I had 2 crews of 9 ready to roll, but it didn't matter because I only had one ship. So trying to finish the space mission before I could get the planet, I tried to work out the math where I could move over and drop off a crew and then pick up the other crew to get the space, but because the Borg ships take so much staffing,
Yeah,
it just really wasn't, the math didn't work out. And I was supremely disappointed because he sat down, he was playing Commandeer Prototype, and he sat down and saw my assimilate starship and went, uh-oh. And I was like, that's right. You don't need all three of those Phoenixes in your hand. You better discard a couple of those. And first turn, he drops an extra in his discard pile. And I was like, all right, I get to visit some of the paint back on you. And by the time I finally solved that mission, he had a regular ship in his discard pile too. And my ship was out of range. And all of my people were unstopped. And I was like, oh, I really want to get the Phoenix just out of spite. But strategically, it was much smarter to take the regular ship, go pick up all the people that I had waiting, and go and attempt a planet mission with 2 crews. So I caved and I did the strategically smart thing, which I'm still disappointed with myself for doing. But, all in all, it was an interesting game, an interesting deck. It wasn't actually a wealth of capture. It was just, just enough to kind of ensure that he got a captive and kept a captive to power all of his tricks. He actually had a really interesting combination of cards that I didn't care about, but that he souped up later, which was all of the capture stuff that makes you discard a card to use skills on captives, in combination with shared hallucination.
oh right. So you won't have a hand.
Yeah, exactly. So that was kind of cool. That was interesting, and I helped. He had been considering swapping out a mission to address the Borg, and I guess I don't know if he did, but it certainly sounded like he was considering it after we left.
Was his capture targeted, or was it just random?
No, it was everything I saw was random. He had Evac and that event. Oh no, that's right. That event was targeted. He got my 7 and 9. That was kind of obnoxious. But then he had like a small handful of dilemmas. But most of it was he didn't care too much about having a captive. He just wanted a captive. He did have the inequitable exchange, so that he could hopefully get a captive with more skills to punish you with, I guess. But I haven't looked at the regional results yet. But
they were just posted. I poked Donati when we were starting and asking for some results, and he posted them. Looks like Matt went 2-2 with the Cardassian deck. No deck lists are posted, so it's impossible to tell if it was the same deck list, but it makes sense. But yeah, that new or the relatively new mission that lets you download a ritual at the beginning of the game requires intelligence, so it slips right into that deck pretty easily and lets him go get. I believe he wanted to get the tea ceremony to shut down the heavy Borg downloading. But we kind of did. It was funny because after the tournament, we were all kind of shop talking his deck. Shop talking, I don't know, like breaking down post-mortem. That's what I'm trying to think of. Post-morteming his deck. Like, okay, this worked. Maybe change this. Well, what are you going to play against? Okay, so-and-so is going to play this, and so-and-so is going to play this, and so-and-so is going to play this. And we basically went down the line and it was like, wow, that's actually a pretty good estimation. So I'm looking forward to looking at the standings and seeing what decks people actually played with and how close we were to what we assumed everybody would be playing to line up those matchups. Yeah, I'm looking ahead. Well, why don't you talk about your last round, and then we'll jump over and talk about the regional.
All right, last round I played JD, and he was playing Khan, but not at SETI Alpha 5. He was just playing off of Earth, I think.
Earth, huh?
Yeah.
Was it were mutants or something?
I don't know. I never saw any. I saw very few feds, but he did have a couple in there to help fill things out. Um, it was the first time I had really played against them out of their element, and I definitely suffered for it. I definitely misplayed a few dilemmas and didn't take into consideration certain. It was my first experience against the Eric Sung and his little baby boy shuffle,
Yes,
which
Mike.
kind of smacks pretty heavily of Sean Mako guy, um, Sean Hawkins.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. You can do a lot with those two guys to duck and cover against dilemmas, depending on who gets randomly selected.
Yeah, that was pretty rough. I watched that completely dismantle at what I thought was going to be a really powerful and would have been a really powerful dilemma combination. And not only not getting anybody stopped, but getting a free guy out of it, which seems somehow wrong. Uh, but I also managed to just come short. I made a couple of bad assumptions. There's like 13 or 14 security in that deck, and managed to attempt without any security. I was like, I made sure I had all the other skills I needed. And I was like, oh, and security. Okay, I have security. I don't need to worry about that. And failed a mission attempt because of that. And then I got stopped later. And it was a very stop fest type of game. So I think I solved at the last minute. Oh no, I failed to solve at the last minute because that would have put me ahead. So I was stuck with what I had, and we ended up true tying at 40.
So modified wins, modified losses, and a true tie.
Yep. Not a single one of my games finished in time.
Ugh. Man,
Which
do you think at the speed at which that deck plays, you should have?
I know. I was. I mean, to be fair, I played a little slower than I'm sure an experienced player would, be trying to learn the deck correctly and get used to both that affiliation and that game again. But it's a teeny tiny fast deck. I was expecting to blow through it. I'm no stranger to time games, and that's fine. But I really expected to at least lose it to time once. But no, all of my games went to time, and they were all very close. So, from that aspect, even my loss to Matt was a close one, and I would have liked to have seen how they went if we kept going, but we did not.
All right.
Well, hour is an hour.
Yeah. This is the first time you played Borg in a while, right? Did you choose that because of the affiliation?
I just went through. I looked at the affiliation list, and I looked, just for something I hadn't played in a while, something that made me want to play.
Mm-hmm.
And I went through my old decks, and I went through the top decks, and the public decks, and just looked for anything that I found, piqued my interest, and that one. I was like, oh, that looks cool, and it's pretty simple. I don't have to go ask somebody how to play it, and I can put it together really quickly before the tournament. So yeah, I've always liked the Borg dissidents. They're Borg, but they're not. So that makes it kind of interesting in a different way to play. So it was fun. It was interesting, and I'm glad I didn't have to build a deck myself.
Fair enough. Well, congrats to. Looks like Matt won the day. Yes.
He did.
And he didn't post his deck, which leads me to believe that it is the same one that he used the next day. And
Seems
second,
likely.
Yeah, second to Johnny with a strength of schedule victory over TV, and then Rogue, Charlie, and JD. JD Unchained. All right, very good. Well, that takes us through most of the way through Saturday. Were there tribbles afterward?
There were tribbles. In fact, there were so many tribbles that we got double the tribbles. Double tribble. We played once and finished. Johnny actually left, as did Thomas. Thomas finished his game really fast and then was gone even before the rest of us were done. He really had to go for something that we didn't know. And Johnny, we had 2 weeks ago for the 1E regional. We were there really super late, and so he's like, "Yeah, I can't handle another late night. I'm going to call this one early and as it balance things out." So it was the four of us, me and Matt and Charlie and JD, and
That's sometimes a recipe for Tribble's disaster, but it worked out pretty
yeah,
well.
I was I
Not the players, but the number four.
oh yeah, the number four. Oh no, I knew what you meant. Um, but yeah, I had been waiting to um, debut my new 5x5 deck, uh, and I didn't. I had the last couple times we've had like 7 or 8 people, which is just a bad idea for bonus. So I was like, four, sure, I could score myself with four and run some bonuses. So I tried that out. It was pretty interesting. I I gave JD a hard time. As a joke, I threw down the challenge before we started because Matt borrowed a deck from me and Charlie borrowed a deck from me. And I was like, all right, JD, it's your game to lose. It's all for one and one against you. So you have to win, or I will win this tournament in some, at least indirectly. So he did. Uh, it
Okay,
was
great. Nice.
yeah, yeah. 5x5 unfortunately is a lot tougher with battle. Now that battle is out, and with two battle players at the table, um, I couldn't really keep up. I was happy that some of the extra um, strategies that I added were working. I had thrown in some tallies to get 50,000s, and I threw in some beiges, which to get 50,000s, because I figured I can at least give them in halves. Uh, and that was actually working out. I think I ended up at a round number, and I got my bonus like thrice.
Cool.
So I was pretty close, but JD blew past the total, and it was not going to happen for me. So I tried to start scoring points, but it was too little, too late.
Yeah, there's always that going into the fourth round. You always kind of have to make that decision of, do I stick with the game plan or just try to win?
Yeah,
But
and
yeah, I can see how battle would throw that off.
yeah, and we did the same thing. We finished so quickly. I think it was under half an hour, or maybe just over half an hour. And then we're like, let's play again. And so we did, and that was a mistake because then we had the Death March round, and JD went out with like 400,000, or maybe it was Matt. Somebody went out with a lot, really in the first round. And I was like, could have gone out in the round two. I was like, screw it, I'm done. I'll go out and start nabbing points. And so I just played to go out from then on, and the battle players kind of ran away with it.
All right. Well, congrats to JD for the win there. Shall we move on to the regional and just run down what we can
Sure.
guess by looking
Matt
at the results?
Matt won the
All right.
second game there.
Oh, very good. All right. I'm looking at the results, and going into this, there were 1,800 rating players, and then a couple of 1,600 guys, and it was a high level event. And it looks like after 4 rounds, Nate got 4 full wins,
Wow.
and took it with a DS9 deck. There's no deck list listed, but looks like Donati put in affiliations for everybody. So Nate won with DS9. TK took second with his Klingons. Was that what you guys were expecting?
It was on the list.
Yeah, on the list. One of the four, right?
It was, fast Klingons, fast TNG, or battle TOS.
Yeah. Aaron took third with a relativity deck, which is interesting because I think he usually is known for playing the Voyager, right?
Oh no, not recently.
Not
I
recently.
haven't. I haven't seen him play anything but
Okay.
relativity in the recent past.
Matt took fourth, going 2-2, and beating Carlos on strength of schedule. Both of them were playing Klingon. Donati took sixth playing Klingon, and Ryan Hill took seventh playing DS9. So bracketed top and bottom with DS9, second and sixth with Klingons, and then a mix of relatively Cardassians and Klingons in the middle.
So 4 affiliations out of 7 players, huh?
Yep. And yeah, well, only one of them fed. That's interesting. All right. Well, congrats to Nate. I look forward to some deck lists being posted to see what he was playing, how he won with the DS9ers, and maybe we'll talk about that next week.
Yeah, I'll be looking forward to seeing what specifically they were playing within those affiliations.
Precisely. All right. I think we have one more bit of business since we don't have any. Oh, I'm being told that Nate also won the triples.
Oh yes,
Let me pull
but
it up here.
you mean the important tournament?
Right. Well, yeah, he got. Wow.
It was a regional too.
Wow. Okay, I'm looking at
Ooh, just
top
barely.
6. The top 3 people all had 500,000. TK had 511, Donati had 571, and Nate had 586. Nice.
Wow. And Carlos was at 462. I mean, he was right behind them.
Yeah, that would be anybody's game going to the last round. That would must have been insane.
120,000 separating 4 places. Wow.
All right. I'm sorry I missed out on that, but I was driving back from Northern California and not in the mood to stop. So, all right.
That's a bit of a detour too. It's not like it's really on the way.
No. Yeah. I could have stopped for pizza, but no, not a good idea. What I'm going to do is fire up the screen share here, and I'll put it on you until I do, and we can start talking about this card. This is another spoiler for the set that's coming out on Friday.
Woo! Lucky. That must have been a tough set to name. Trying to think of a...
there were some lobbying for, for the cause and some of the other classic Maquis lines, but
yeah.
I kind of thought, well, the Dominion was about the Dominion, and the Borg was about the Borg, and it's got to be Maquis.
Technically, the episode title is Part 1 or Part 2. So, is the next expansion for this block going to be Maquis Part 2?
No.
Okay.
It's it's that 2-hour block, where they play them back to back.
You heard it here first. All right. Shankar, this is our spoiler, is a Maquis personnel, predictably, non-aligned with the DS9 property logo. He's got a command star and the Maquis icon and a little beard icon like everyone from the set. And though this does look very similar to the image from the TUI card, it is not a conversion.
Yeah, I'm looking at the TUI card up on the wall. It is very close, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? The TUI card on the wall has got somebody in the background. Huh, anyway.
So it's kind of cropped.
No, it's like right over his shoulder, so I don't know if they add that in or they took that out or what art did, but maybe it was just from a little bit later. Maybe he took another step and fired again. Close, but a faux conversion and not quite a direct conversion. Although very, very similar. I mean, looking at his skills, the TUI card has archaeology, biology, geology, officer, and treachery.
Oh, that's exactly.
Yeah, so this guy's officer classification and has all those skills.
And instead of dumping dump your hand on top of your deck?
I don't know, that's way too small writing way up there.
Yeah, I think if you have up at least 3 demilitarized zone missions, then he makes you put your hand on top of your deck. Instead, this guy downloads any phaser or disruptor. Special download icon.
Which is fitting considering the picture.
Indeed.
He has attributes of 477. That's pretty comparable to the 1E card that was 466. 466? Yeah. But the 2E card was Federation, whereas this guy is non-aligned.
Right. This is collector number 47V, and his lore is Maquis soldier, always prepared to defend against Cardassian attacks, assigned by Amoros to stand guard over Dukat after the Gull's abduction.
All right, so not quite a bodyguard,
Just a guard.
just a guard. All right, very good. This will be out on Friday. Are you? We finally got. Uh, so I've been busy with things.
Sure.
So I've been off the ball, but it looks like we've got an event scheduled for the 5th of July, release event.
Yes. We had a brief powwow after the 2E tournament and said 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, everybody. And basically, didn't sound like anybody had any huge objections as far as being out of town for the holiday or whatnot. So sounds like we are on in 2 weeks. We did volunteer your place for a 5th of July barbecue tournament, if that was something that would facilitate your attendance. But otherwise, we'll play at Arby's.
Probably Arby's is best. I'll just bring the girl down again. She did go well last time. I'll bring down some extra battery power for the laptop so the movie won't end prematurely.
Nice. And increase your data plan this time.
Yeah, we won't be doing that again. We're gonna have to figure out how to download that before we leave instead of streaming the HD video on the fly.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, that'll be a release warning tournament. Is it going to be block or just complete?
It didn't sound like I thought it was just going to be. I heard somebody mention block, but there was a lot of groaning, so I think it's just going to be constructed, as far as I know.
Okay, sounds good. Should be entertaining. I'm sure a lot of people will be playing the new stuff, which
Yep.
I will be keen to see.
I had to hunt down, got my brand new roll of card tape for the new set, so I can make everything up. Apparently, this one that I've been getting is being phased out because they did not even have it in the computer when I had them scan it at Target. I had to dig it out from behind some of the other types. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to find some other brand to keep my cards going.
Is this a reloadable cartridge that you use?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a Scotch tape runner refill. But I'm going to have to start target hopping so I can collect them all. I got to get me through the DS9 block.
Right. All right. Yeah, I got nothing else. So I'm glad you had a good time at the tournament mostly. So I couldn't join you, but I'll be there for the next one way or the other.
Excellent. Well, we'll look forward to it. Next week will be nothing. That's not a holiday. That's the Friday after that. But I don't know if we have anything planned next week, but we'll search for other intelligence to bring you. And if nothing else, we can go over with fine-tooth comb all of the decks that were played at Santa Barbara Regional here in the RISA finale. I think we're pretty much done with the regional season, right? This is it. If there's anything scheduled next weekend, I think it was through the end of June, so we might be done and moving on into continental season. I know that they're all piled up in July, so they're coming upon us. We'll start looking ahead to that. In the meantime, I'm Sir Rogue.
And I am Sir Dan.
And I will remind you all to expand your power in the universe.
And I will draw it end. Huzzah.